us to take care of ourselves and one another, right?
That's right.
So that brings me to my next point. Some common barriers, things that get in the way of us seeking the support and the treatment that we need in the Black community. First and foremost, stigma and shame. So one of the common stigmas is that I ain't crazy, right? And it's not that you're crazy, Cousin Joe, you're depressed. So cultural beliefs, mental health isn't real. Anxiety isn't a thing. Now you're hyperventilating and having a panic attack, but you're associating it with something else when in fact you are stressed, you are overwhelmed. And then there's a lack of awareness and education in our community because we just don't talk about this thing, right? Just like we don't talk about life insurance often, right? But it's inevitable, right? But we don't like to talk about that. And then we rely on our family and our community solely for support. And we don't necessarily acknowledge again that there is an issue, but we just rely on them to kind of carry these burdens for us, right? And then there's systemic racism and discrimination, like I said, that we face, and some socioeconomic factors like low income, and we sometimes have fewer access to resources than our white brothers and sisters or other races. And then spirituality and faith plays a role in the Black family, right? Or the Black community. So some strengths of spirituality and faith is that we often use faith as a coping mechanism. We use faith to get us through our struggles. We do seek support in our community, in our faith community. We come to church and we seek support from our brothers and sisters in Christ. And then we might be counseled by our pastor. And then we use spirituality as a bridge to reduce those stigmas. So we fight our spiritual battles, right? Using our faith and our reliance on our beliefs in spirituality and religion. We use that to say, I'm fighting spiritual warfare, and you're also fighting depression. Okay? And then some challenges is that we over-rely on faith, and I capitalize alone because I'm not taking away the fact, and I'm not here to impose, religious or beliefs on other people, but we over-rely on our faith to get us through things instead of using our faith and that's why we need to normalize using Jesus and therapy, right? So God sent people like me here to be a therapist, right? So I'm just saying that we need to normalize using all of our resources for holistic healing and well-being. And then I wanted to teach you about an African greeting, Sawubona. Sawubona means I see the whole of you. So not just physically I see you, but I see your passions, your pain, your struggles. I see your weaknesses and your future. You are valuable to me. So I wanted to take the time to acknowledge a couple of people here in this room, okay?
You want to say when a man says he's...
So the Black man, Sawubona, we see you. Among men aged 18 to 44 who had daily feelings of anxiety and depression, Black men were more likely to have these symptoms than their white people or other races and not use treatment. Black men are also at risk for a high risk for suicide. So suicide is the third leading cause of death for Black men ages 15 to 24. African American men ages 20 to 24 have the highest suicide rate amongst African Americans of all ages, male and female. So Black men, we see you, Sawubona.
You want to say when a man says he's tired, pay attention. Expound on that a little bit.
Yeah,
the suicide rate amongst men, we're 3 to 4 times as likely to die by suicide than our women. 9 out of 10 people who live to be over 100 are women. Over 70% of homicides are by men in the United States. So long we tell each other, we give each other promises. Stay strong, brother. Subconsciously, that's telling us when we're weak, we're not a man. You can't stay strong. I can just put the bar, a 45-pound Olympic, tell you to hold an Olympic bar out on the bench press. So I want you to hold that till tomorrow. You won't. We have to be careful of the misleading mantras that we say. What doesn't kill you can only make you stronger. That's not true. Or everything in moderation. No, less than an ounce of cyanide will kill you. So we have to be careful how we program ourselves. So when a man is tired, a strong man is tired. When I say believe him, what I mean is welcome him to rest. Allow him to decompress. You're tired, brother, what do you need from me? I don't need to ask you to do something else. You gotta understand, when you're like us community servants, no one will ever stop you from helping them. You have to stop yourself. And that's what I mean by that. So many of us, we work past fatigue. Again, for that affirmation. It's hard to say no. And that's one of the greatest things I've learned to master is saying no. I can always come back to say yes, but when I say yes first, now I'm committed to something, and then I'm typically operating in frustration. And so now when a strong man tells you these times, believe it, and then do something about it to help him rest and recover. If not, just like an athlete, Kevin Durant, for instance, when he went back too soon after the injury,
Right.
we go right back out after someone gets killed in our family. We expect life to be normal. My mother passed in 2016. I expect just to forget it and keep moving, and it still crushes my heart to this day. No, it takes time. And as brothers, and sisters, we need to be patient and loving and understanding. And grieving is a lifelong process. Healing is a lifelong process. And as we always say, there's no point of arrival. It's a constant state of evolving, becoming better, becoming better.
So, black woman, Sawubona, we see you. Black women, there's this ideology that of a strong black woman, right? What is a strong black woman? But we hear it so much, and this can be a blessing and a curse, because we can use this as, again, a way to cope with our daily struggles, but then it can be a curse in the sense that people think that we don't need help too, or people don't think that we have our weaknesses as well. And they don't check on us, right? Who checks on the strong black woman? And again, it deters us from seeking help both professionally and amongst our peers, because we don't want to be seen as weak, right? We want to be the ones that hold it all together, and so we don't seek the support we need. It can lead to depression, anxiety, PTSD, eating disorders. And then what we need to do, though, is promote formal check-ins and networks with each other. We need to, these can be in the form of sister circles, church Bible studies, organizations, workshops, social media, or just a simple, how are you, black woman? How are you today? What do you need from me or from us today? So, black woman, Sawubona.
Everything must go. Everything must go. I want you to get a little gangster elevation. I want you to start looking down on the inside of you and saying, what is in me that is keeping me from laying hold of the anointing that God placed on my life? Because I'm going to get a little gangster with it. It's got to go. There's no room for you anymore. I'm sorry, depression. We've been friends long enough, but there's no more room for you in me any longer. I got to go to therapy. I need some counseling. I'm in trouble. Addiction. We've been friends long enough, but you got to go because I'm on assignment. And I messed around and came to church and got my marching orders. And now I realize that there's a battle for me to fight. And I'm the perfect candidate because I've been through hell and I'm still here. Because I've been through hell and I still got a smile on my face. Hell, I'm sorry. You got to let go of me. Anxiety, I'm sorry. I got to go somewhere. I'm sorry. The divorce, it hurt me, but I got to get up again. Everything must go.
so I do realize we're at church, right? We're in a church. And so the next slide again is to acknowledge, right? We might have family or we might have someone in this room who identifies with the LGBTQIA plus, LMNOP, plus community. And I just want to say sawubona, right? Because the Black LGBTQ plus community is also at a significant greater risk for developing mental illness and different adversities that come with just who they identify as a person, right? So they are at higher rates for discrimination and stigma. They're also 83% of Black LGBTQ plus individuals report that they were discriminated against and it impacted their physical well-being. And they also reported that it affected their psychological well-being. So it also puts them at greater risk for things like suicide, self-harm, substance or alcohol abuse. So I simply want to say to the Black LGBTQ plus community specifically, sawubona. And then the Black child, the adolescent, sawubona, young kid. So again, we think that young people don't experience stress or they are overwhelmed. More so than not, we've all experienced the pandemic, something that we didn't see coming. And working at a school, we noticed that it significantly impacted the lives of many, many children. And so I simply want to say sawubona to the Black child, because Black adolescents between the ages of 12 and 18 have been characterized as specifically a disadvantaged group. So they are often misdiagnosed or overdiagnosed of certain mental health disorders. So one thing that comes to mind is like the little angry Black girl. Studies and statistics show that Black girls are overrepresented as being like, mean, or when in fact they might be anxious, or they might be struggling with depression, they might be struggling with some trauma or some abuse. So we need to be cognizant of that. Black children are at higher risk of suicide because of all these factors, and it puts them at a higher risk of school and learning difficulties. So the Black child, sawubona, we see you. And then the Black veteran. Do we have any veterans in the room?
Hey.
Thank you for your service. So I want to say to the Black veteran, sawubona, we see you. 16% of Black veterans were more likely than white veterans to screen positive for PTSD. 10% versus the 5% of substance, 10% versus 5% were reporting substance and alcohol abuse disorders. So 10% versus 5% in relation to Blacks and then other racial groups. And then Black veterans were also reporting a higher risk of suicidal ideation. And then Black veterans were also denied VA health benefits more often than their white or other racial groups, according to the statistics and data.